So, welcome and thank you guys for coming. So nice to see some people take some interest in this side of things. I'm just so fascinated about this stuff. So I'm Stacey Ray. I'm your little host today, and I'm an advocate for the healing tattoo. I got drawn to this work a really long time ago, actually, before I even became a tattoo artist, when I learned about A.R.T, the Iceman, that was found in the Otzal Alps with 61 tattoos. And those tattoos were actually corresponding with acupuncture and acupressure points where he had physical ailments. Meaning that the cool part about that is that like acupuncture was known about for thousands and thousands. He was 6,000 years old. And we had this idea that it's only been around for 2,000 years, but it was around way longer than that. And way out in the wilderness, I don't think it was like Homo erectus. He was like a further back type of, would you say type of like human? Anyway, sorry. So that was really interesting to me because what that told me was that tattooing has been used for healing since before written language and modern language, before education, before civilization as we know it now. So the intuition, the inner knowing that we have, I think is way stronger than anything we could learn in a book ever. So I would just invite you guys to really get aligned with your intuition and your gut feeling and really get aligned with your soul when it comes to doing this work. Because I believe that it's soul work for us and it's soul work for others in a time when the world really does need some healing. You know, we're all going through this crazy situation that's been going on for a year and a half, and people are fighting anti-masker, anti-vaxxer, and we're all just trying to figure it all out because we're not getting the full picture for sure. So let's just focus on what we can do to help the individuals in our community. All right, so rule 1 is a little bit of housekeeping. These lessons are for your development and your development only. Please do not share these with others in case something gets lost in translation, unless it's something that you've really already learned to integrate and you're a healer of some kind. I'm a Reiki master. I'm a certified counselor. I'm a psych crisis counselor. I incorporate a lot of healing modalities into my life as it is. So unless you've already got that foundation and that background, just be really careful with how you share this with others, because it's kind of a suppressed outlook on life. And please do not teach anybody else unless you are teaching from what you've already mastered. So by proceeding and listening to the rest of this, you agree to these terms. So thank you for your cooperation. Let's get started. Healing tattoos. I call the course Sacred Space because we are the sacred space. And I don't really expect everybody to understand that. So I think I'm going to just talk a little bit more about healing tattoos. But when I talk about healing tattoos, that is one way that we embody the sacred space idea with everything that we do. So I consider myself a modern day shaman, and tattooing is my medicine. Does that make sense? Tattooing is how I offer my healing to people, but tattoos themselves don't heal. Does that make sense? And since I can't get any feedback from you guys, I'm going to have to assume, yes, that makes sense. So we're going to talk about tattooing trauma sites specifically. As you know, I'm a subject matter expert in mastectomy tattooing and restorative tattooing of all kinds. So I have to know a lot about the trauma site itself before I start working on it. And I think that this is really being missed in our world. The entire tattoo industry is missing this very important element of what does that even mean? And what could go wrong? Because some things could go wrong. On a technical level, we could cause more trauma to the scar tissue, right? On a technical level, if we don't understand how to tattoo scars, we could make the scars worse. But on an emotional level, we run the risk of bringing somebody to the brink of a stress response, a heightened stress response due to the trauma site. And if we leave them there, then, like I said this in my live on Instagram yesterday, if we don't know how to lead them through that emotional response, that emoting process, then they may stay in that stress response and they don't really understand it. So a little bit more about me, my background. As you guys probably know, if you're here, you know that I founded A.R.T, Artistic and Areola Restorative Tattooing. And we have changed the medical tattoo world. We've invented some stuff. I was the first person who taught people how to draw. Now the entire nipple tattoo industry is drawing. Thank the Lord, thank the goddesses. Because survivors really do deserve our absolute best, right? So I'm internationally recognized. I'm an international speaker and educator. I've been tattooing professionally since 1996. And I went to art school in 94 and 95, so I'm classically trained. I've been tattooing scars since about 1998. I waited 99 maybe. I definitely did tattoo for at least 3 years before I started tattooing scars, and I still made all of the mistakes. However, people weren't teaching this back then. So I learned by real experience, just kind of figuring it out and doing my best as I went. So please draw from that mastery. If you're new to tattooing scars or doing restorative tattooing, I'm going to be offering some really cool training coming forward. We'll talk about that at the end. But if you're doing that and you're working on these trauma sites, the more training and education you can take and the more you can put your heart into what you're doing, come from a place of being heart-centered, the more successful you'll be and the more you can help people, which is all we're here to do anyways. What will we cover? So basically, this masterclass is just going to cover the kind of the chapter basics of my new digital class, which is called Sacred Space. So I just kind of went over some of the chapters and I'm like, we'll just touch on each one. The course, the online course itself goes really deep into them, and there'll be printouts and you'll learn a lot more. So right now, we're just going to touch on some of the important elements when it comes to doing this work. And we'll start with trauma sites, understanding that. So there was an event. To create a trauma site, there was an event. And something happened, whether it was a surgery, an injury, something took place that caused trauma to the body. And since we have a fight or flight response to save ourselves from being damaged, and if the trauma struck the person, that person would have done everything in their power to stop themselves from being damaged. Now, if the control was taken away from them, which it was in most cases, then they could hold the memory of that fight or flight response. And that's what we're going to be igniting, that holding of that memory. Even if they were put under for surgery and they were subconscious when this event took place, or they were unconscious, I should say, the subconscious still has awareness of it. How do we know that? There's been some really cool studies done on this, on the placebo effect. So they took a bunch of people and did knee surgery on them. And some people got the actual knee surgery and some people didn't. But the people who didn't get it, the doctor went through the motion. They put them under, they acted exactly like they would have acted every step through the surgery, including scalpel, open it up, go to do the mark. But they stopped short of damaging the skin. They just pretended like they were doing it so that the subconscious, they wanted to see how much awareness the subconscious had over this event. And those people that didn't receive the surgery, they made an outside incision, of course, because the person had to heal stitches and they had to think that they had the surgery. So everybody got that. But the people that didn't actually have the actual surgery all reported that their knees were way better and they don't regret a thing and they're so happy they did the surgery, even if their knee wasn't actually touched. So the power of the subconscious is so important here. It's so important. And I'm going to teach you guys how to manage that in your day-to-day work. So then the healing comes from the initial thing, like the guys got their knees cut. Then you have to focus on allowing your body to repair itself. So you have to go through a healing process. For a mastectomy, which I've had a couple of them, you got to chill out. You got to take care of the wounds. Usually you have drains, which is a horrible experience. If you've never had drains, it was like the worst. And that added a whole layer of trauma because I wasn't told that I was going home with drains. And so I didn't really know about them until I was looking through what I had to do. And it's like, empty the drains. And I was like, and then I felt, and then I was like, oh, I do have other tubes coming out of me. And I was actually pretty horrified by that because I wasn't forewarned about it. So there's a lot of stuff going on in your client's head that they don't even really fully understand. So then the relearning process is adapting to this new version of you. Okay, so I went through this healing process. Now I have implants. I don't have nipples anymore. I have a breast reconstruction. And who am I? And do I feel like less of a woman? And what do I have to do going forward? And like, we really do have to relearn how to be one with ourselves after a changed body. And that can be traumatizing in itself. For me, it was not having nipples. I'd already been doing breast cancer work. I lost my nipples and breasts in 2012. And I started doing this work in 2009, 2010. And I'd already worked on people a bunch and talked to them about the experience. But when it happened to me, I was unprepared to feel completely disgusted with my my reflection in the mirror. So there are things going on that people don't know how to put words into. I really worked hard to put words into this so that I could help other tattooers understand what the clients need. So anyways, here we are trying to share this knowledge. So another interesting thing is that they've done a bunch of studies on this as well. The brain can't actually understand the difference between what's going on and what happened in the past. And they did a lot of studies on this. And I encourage you to, don't take my word for it, look into it yourself, because this is something worth understanding. And the more that I look into it, the more fascinated I am by it. I geek right out on this stuff. It's so cool how much power our brain actually gives over our lives. So if somebody's memory is activated when we're working on the trauma site, they may have an emotional response or physiological response that they don't understand. That's why I say, like, it starts in the brain. They're like, well, I feel different. And it's more than just a tattoo, or maybe I'm just nervous, or maybe I'm just excited. I don't know what's going on. But if it's activating something that's subconscious for them, they don't have conscious awareness of it. They just know that they feel uncomfortable in some way or different in some way. Feelings are coming up for them. Where is it coming from? And of course, because we're conditioned to minimize our feelings, we're like, I'm okay, I'm fine. Maybe I just need a breath. Do you have any water? Can I have a drink of water? But inside, what could be happening, and what does happen for some of them, is their little activating system could be spinning out of control as they try to make mental sense of this physical experience, where they know for a fact that they can say to you, stop, and you'll stop. They know that they can put an end to this where they didn't have control over the original trauma. They know consciously that they can put an end to this now and control the current situation, but they don't want to. So this can be a really interesting experience for them to try to reconcile. So the best thing for us to do is to be incredibly informed on this, so that we can be the ones to say, it's okay, just take a couple breaths. Yeah, it can be intense. I know it can be intense. Like, take your time. One of the things that I want you guys to realize with this particular point is that people will often spin back into their story. So they've told so many doctors and so many nurses over the years, like, oh, I was diagnosed on this day and I had this treatment and blah, 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 blah. And when they retell that story, they're breathing up here and they're in a stress response without realizing it. Plus, if they think about it at all, if you give them the space to slow down and they have the time to think about it at all, they may go right back into that memory and they may have an activated heightened stress response, just talking about the details. However, here's the thing. As much as you may want to hear their story, please do not let your curiosity take over, because this is kind of our chance to help them empower themselves out of those parts of the story and see things differently. This is our first step in helping them realize that that's no longer happening for them, because we don't actually need to know those details. We don't need to know when they were diagnosed. We don't need to know what treatments they had, right? I hear a lot of tattoo artists that I work with, and I have some people disagree with me on this, and they're like, well, if they want to tell their story, and I'm like, I don't think they do want to tell their story, because I remember my own mother, when she was getting into the last few months of being alive and she knew the end was coming, the chemo wasn't working and stuff, I remember her saying to me, now this, I'm going to speak very frankly on this, because like I want you guys to understand the intensity of the actual experience for the person who's going through it, because we can't make assumptions here. I remember my mom saying, oh, I went to freaking Overweighty, the grocery store. She said, I went to the grocery store and I ran into so-and-so from high school, and she looked like crap. Like she was coming to the end of being like, the chemo's kicking my ass. And I don't even have the energy. Like it was hard for her to even get to the store, but she wanted to maintain some sense of normalcy in her life. So she's like, I'll go and buy stuff for a nice salad tonight. And then she felt like she was taking care of herself some way, right? So she runs into so-and-so dumbass from high school, and he's like, oh, hey, Deb, how's it going? And she's like, looks like total crap. Her hair is gone. She's not feeling good. She's like, really? I got to make small talk with this guy who's been a dick his whole life, really? And she's like, not the best, because my mother was honest and taught me how to be honest. And she didn't want to tell him more than that. He goes, oh, geez, oh, I heard you have cancer, Deb. And she's like, yeah, sweet. Awesome. Now he wants to talk to me about my fucking cancer. I haven't seen this guy in 20 years. And so that's how her experience was affected, just in that one thing. So when she came home, she was stressed right out. She was like destroyed. She's like, I'm not going to make it. People want me to talk to them about this. She had to go home and cry, and that added more stress to her body trying to heal from this disease that's trying to take it all out of her. So I do find, and I do feel that sometimes we want to engage in somebody's story for our own curiosity. And I just want to invite you guys to stop yourself from enjoying that luxury and just focus on what the person needs. So the way that I do it, you'll have a different way, you'll figure out a different way to do things. But because I've been through so much myself, I can get away with saying a few things that other people just can't get away with saying. And I'll just put my hand up as they start going, oh, blah, 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 this and that, and start giving me like the runoff of details, which you can tell is rehearsed. I'll be like, today's the day that changes. I'll be like, if you want to get that story off your chest one more time, I will totally listen to you. But please, everything changes today. That's why you came to me. And I just try and put a really positive spin on it in a way that empowers them to be like, yeah, I'm not in that battle anymore. It is over. I am ready to move on. Now, back to the stress response part of it. I just want you to really look at this. And I'm going to ask Becky to take a toll of ones. If you have ever seen a video or imagery about what an actual mastectomy looks like, please put a 1 in the chat box. And I'm going to grab my phone real quick. Okay, so Becky can send me a message and let me know how many of you understand what the body actually goes through. I see that there's 5 responses in the chat. So if the subconscious is aware of this, and this is an intense experience for the body, right? This is happening right on top of all the vital organs, the heart, the lungs, like this is happening right over top of all of that. So like I said, if that, let's see if she's messaged me. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So she's saying that not very many of you have really seen this. And I think that this is a very important part of knowing how to do the work right, is knowing what the person's been through and what that skin has been through. Because after that skin is separated from the underlying tissue, it will never behave like healthy skin again. Never, never. It'll never retain pigment like healthy skin. It'll never heal like healthy skin. It is permanently altered, right? And this particular picture is the clearest indication of how serious this is. So once you lay the person back down on your table or your chair or whatever, and you bend over them and start working on that site, and you start stretching the skin, you know, because you have to stretch the skin a little bit, less for implants, more for tram flap, you know, or diep flap. The physiological responses will begin to activate. That person may have a subconscious response to the perceived threat of you working there. Once you start working there, the subconscious might be like, it's happening again, it's happening again. And the person might not really understand what that means to them. So they may notice something in their body and be triggered to fight it or to flee, which could start shallow breathing, heightened heart pace, sweating, you know, their parasympathetic nervous system is going through the ringer, right? They're going from parasympathetic into sympathetic, from a relaxed state into a stress state, right? And it's more than just the tattoo itself. So this is a very important space for us to help them downregulate. How do you downregulate? Does anybody here, please put another 1 in the box real quick, if you know how to help your client downregulate? Just give you guys a minute to answer. A couple people are answering, I see. Yeah. Just 2 of you so far. Okay. I'm going to teach you something right now. Breathing. Breathing. One thing that we don't realize is that I'm going to talk about this a little bit later, and I talk about this a lot in the digital class, in the online course on this, but we don't realize that we live in this this constant state of hyperventilation. We're kind of like, we're just living right from here to here, and we're not really feeling into our bodies, and we're not really taking a deep breath. And so what I do is I just start leading with breath as the person is processing or talking about what's going on for them. And I really want to protect them from going back into that story. But if they want to talk through it again, like if they just need to do that and get it off their chest, I'm like, if you want to tell it one more time, and I implant the idea that you never have to tell this to anybody again if you don't want to. Nobody else needs to hear this if you don't want to tell it. I empower them. So I'll just start leading with breath. And I'm audible about it. I let them hear my breath. I'm visual about it. I let them see that I'm taking a deep breath and releasing it. And they'll watch you and they'll breathe along with you. I look them right in the eye and I'm like, and usually I'll nod a little bit and be like, yeah, what a thing to go through. What a thing to experience. So they will downregulate and come into their body if you show them what it looks like. Right? That simple thing can lead somebody out of a sympathetic nervous response and back into a more parasympathetic state. Because this really leads to body dysmorphia. So on top of everything that we've already talked about, that person has been through, they may be focused on one part of their body and feel like they're completely flawed and totally unworthy of having a good life ever again. Show of hands, put another 1 in the chat if you know what body dysmorphia is. I know it because I live it. Losing my breast reconstruction last year and going aesthetic flat closure and being completely flat chested after being a very chesty woman my entire life, I am having some difficulties accepting this version of my body. And one of the ways that I'm dealing with this is sharing it with other tattoo artists. This is one of the ways that I heal myself, is to help you understand how to help others heal. Okay, so how many people know about body dysmorphia? Okay, you guys understand. Awesome, great, fantastic. So if you don't really know yet, I do have a whole chapter on this in the digital class, and with some links to some psychiatry websites and stuff to help you just understand that, okay, so here's the easiest way to explain it to you. And since you guys mostly know this, you'll understand this. When a skinny person thinks they're really fat and they become anorexic, that's negative body dysmorphia. They don't have a realistic view of their looks or their presence in life. They have a slight askew, maybe slight, maybe major. So that's why I got into doing a little bit of psych crisis, because that's when people are out of touch with their reality. So this is really important to understand a little bit, because just telling them that they're beautiful doesn't fix it. Like telling the skinny girl that she's beautiful and don't lose any more weight just makes her realize that other people see it too. And then she gets even worse. So we have to be really careful about the way we navigate this stuff. A deep understanding is the best way to do it. Yeah. Now, could a bad tattoo make it worse? Yup. I got bad nipple tattoos done by a nipple tattoo trainer. It was way worse than not having nipples, and not having nipples sucked. It was so bad. It was such a rough experience for me, even though I do this work. So we're working on this site. We're putting the body back into that heightened stress response. So we're activating these thoughts and feelings. The tattoo process is kind of, it's like a danger zone or a healing zone, depending on how we master our ability to deal with it. So if we bring somebody to the brink of those feelings, but we don't know how to take them through them, right? Or you're not equipped to yet. And please don't do this unless you take some real training on it. I've taken like active list. I've done so much training on this. I do have a level of mastery when it comes to this stuff. And it is time for me to teach it to people. I always teach it to people in my mentorship with training for the people who take the mentorship. But we just have to be aware of this. So if there's some local courses that you can take, jump on in, deep dive into this. As kind of your key to success, is really making life-changing experiences for your clients, right? Because the worst thing to do would be to bring somebody to the brink of that without realizing what you're doing, and then letting them go. And they're like, dealt with all these, they don't really understand where these emotions are coming from, because it's all subconscious, and they don't really know what to do with them, and they don't know who to talk about them, because I'm telling you, this is a lonely road. Going through some kind of trauma that leaves a mark on your body is a lonely road. Your friends don't understand, your family doesn't understand. It's very hard to find people to talk to about this. So if you bring them back into that place, and then they're in that place of loneliness, like, you can understand very easily how this could have a negative effect on their life. Trigger feelings of anger, that's part of the grieving process. Sadness, part of the grieving process. Feeling unworthy. I had to put a picture of myself in here because I have a lot of feelings of unworthiness. But talking about it openly and letting other people understand is a great way to heal it. Now, if you understand it like I do, and I talk about it openly to people, it gives them permission to use their voice as well, right? They're like, yeah, I feel like that too. Yeah, nobody understands. Yeah, you're totally right. I am really mad that this happened to me. And I'm really mad that my husband left me, and I'm really mad that my best friend just stopped talking to me, or all of the things that come with experiencing an intense and enduring grieving process. It's okay to feel the feels. And it starts here. It's an inside job. The way that you become somebody who can hold space while somebody else feels their feelings is by feeling your own feelings. Yeah. If you're not afraid of your feelings, you'll never be afraid of somebody else's feelings. Am I right? Totally. So face your own past, anything that may be like dirty little gremlins that may be in there telling you you're not good enough, or you'll never be good at this, or you'll never get it right, or nobody is going to like your work, or whatever it is that your little gremlins like to say to you, face them little monsters. Release it, work through it. If you carry any childhood trauma or pain, or like I say, where your dreams crush, is like if you decided you were going to be a tattoo artist one day and you're so excited about it, did somebody come along and say to you, oh, you'll never make it, you're not good enough? That's soul crushing. And it does hinder your ability to believe in yourself. And it definitely hinders your ability to believe in others. Yeah, so face those feelings, let them flow through you. Here's another little secret that I want you guys to understand. This is so cool. I heard it said once, one of my coaches actually told me a feeling, I don't know where he got it from, but I know that it's like a quote or a proverb. A feeling felt all the way through is bliss. Can you imagine that? Where we get stuck is we get to the edge of the feeling that we don't like, right? We embrace everything we don't like and we reject everything, or we embrace everything we do like. We label it as good and we hang on to it or hoard it. And we reject everything we don't like and we call it bad. Life isn't really about good or bad. But when we get to the point of being uncomfortable with our feeling, what happens is we run away from it. And that feeling never gets honored. And so it's right there, like, hello, hello, hello. Every time you get close to it, it's like, hey, deal with me, please, please deal with me. And you're like, no, I don't want to. I'll go work out or I'll go do this, because it's really intimidating for us to just sit with our feelings. But it's so necessary. Now, the magic trick, like I was saying, is this. If you sit with a feeling and you just go through it. I had to face some last weekend, I'll just say it. I did a coaching session with one of the other girls on the A.R.T team, Ashling, and I asked her if she would coach me to help me go through accepting this version of my body so that she would understand it better, so she could help other of her clients get through it, so that she wouldn't be intimidated, because she handled my intensity, so she can handle anybody's intensity. And I'm telling you, I work on this stuff and I know how to feel my feelings, and I'm not afraid of feeling anything. And I had such a strong physical reaction to the thoughts and feelings that I had to go and throw up twice. I was dry heaving. I was like a little kid that was crying so hard I couldn't breathe. I didn't realize until I honored the physiological experience of those feelings. I didn't realize how bad they were, that I was carrying that around. No wonder I was holding so much tension in my body. I was afraid to grieve this intense loss, right? So the more that you know yourself and the more that you can be with your own feelings and accept your own shadows, the more that you can do that for others. And you can't do it for others until and unless you can do it for yourself. So take all the things you love about yourself and embrace them. And take all the things that you don't love about yourself and embrace those too. Because that's what makes you, you. And who you are, without trying to be anything for other people, is exactly who you're meant to be. That's the beauty of it. So just like, be like for me, yeah, I'm totally unorganized. I get behind on all my freaking emails and I'm like always behind on everything. I got ADD, my heart's in the right place, but sometimes I just can't keep up. Well, that's the price that you pay for being creative, because I also make some pretty cool stuff and I wrote a pretty cool book and I made some pretty cool training things. So that's kind of the balance that makes me me. And I refuse to feel bad about it anymore, because I don't have to be perfect for anyone, especially myself. Yeah. Self-acceptance. That's what it looks like. Yep, I'm awesome this way and I'm totally lame this way. And sometimes I'm too opinionated, and whatever it is for you, just be like, yes, I am all those things. And I'm completely worthy of love and perfect as I am right now. I don't have to change a thing. Because once you get there, then you can hold space for others without judgment. You ever notice that really judgmental people really hard on themselves? So where it comes from, if you ever find yourself judging others or being like, well, that person this and that person that, if you ever catch yourself thinking those thoughts or even saying those words, remember what I'm about to say. Let the voice of Stacey Ray come in, because you only do that and project it onto others because it feels better than being like, I don't like this about myself. So that is a hard feeling to face. So you're like, oh, I don't like this about that person or that about that person. And that's where it always comes from. So when people complain to me about other people or things, I'm like, well, what are you ignoring in yourself? Oh, people don't like to hear that. However, it's toxic to complain about other people or other things when we're only responsible for ourselves. And we're all just doing our best, right? We're all just doing our best. This is true. So the way to get to true happiness is to be like, this is who I am and I'm doing my best. But then back that up with do your best. Now we can get into holding space for others. Now that you've learned a little bit about holding space for yourself, now you can get into holding space for others. With somebody, if it's just you and that person and they're having an emotional response and you know that it's deeper than just what they're expressing, you know that their body's in a physiological state, you know that they could be sweating, heart racing, all of these things, just let them. Just let them. Allow. Just sit back for a second, put your tattoo machine down, give their tattoo a little wipe so you know you're engaged with them, right? Give it a nice little wipe to clean it up. Sometimes at the end of an emotional, if they are emoting, when you only need 2 to 4 minutes, remember, if they're emoting and you can be like, well, go take a look and see how far we've come. If it looks good, let them be part of that process so they can be like, it is okay, like life can be better, because maybe what they're thinking is, it'll never get better. I don't deserve this. Like, who knows what they're thinking? Because we all have these little gremlins in our head. We all have this inner dialogue. You have no idea what voice from their past is coming up right now, right? You know, like some crappy boyfriend from when they were in high school. Like, who knows what is coming up for them right now? So don't pressure them on anything. Don't judge them. And I'm going to talk about this again, but the worst thing that you can do when somebody is feeling emotional is be like, there, it's okay. It'll get better. You're beautiful. You look great. At least you're still alive. All of those kind of minimizing statements may send her into a spiral of unworthiness, because she's like, nobody gets it. Nobody gets me. Nobody understands me. I'm all alone. I don't deserve to be happy. I don't deserve to be heard. Maybe because if she wasn't heard in the house as a child, right? Like if her parents never really paid attention to her, or him, whoever you're working on, or the dad was always busy or whatever, who knows what they're carrying around in them. If that was something for them and you're like, you'll be fine, they may never be fine again. Because if you don't know how to take them through that feeling and they don't have the right people in their life to help them, because no amount of talk therapy can get to a physiological response like tattooing can. They could have all kinds of talk therapy and they could love their therapist that may not be helping them because they're not actually getting to the root cause, right? Like tattooing can. So I'm going to talk a little bit more going forward, and I talk a lot more about how to create your tattoo environment. I say turn your studio into a sanctuary. So it's a safe place so that your client feels safe to be whoever they are and whatever they are. If it feels clinical and harsh, they're going to be like kind of clam up, right? They might just be like, I can't be myself. I'm just getting nipples. Meh. That's like one of the reasons I don't love the hospital setting for doing nipples, because that's where the trauma originated, right? So just have a beautiful space, have beautiful music, which we'll talk about. I go right into this in the digital class, and just let them be whatever they're going to be. We are warned not to trauma bond with them, which would be like, oh my God, I know. Oh, that sounds so bad. Oh my God, that's so terrible. I'm so sorry you went through that. Oh my God, how terrible for you. If you start doing those statements, and it's a trauma bonding, and you are meeting them in that lower space, you're not helping them at all. And you're not helping yourself either. One of the reasons that we do that is because we're trying to take the feeling away from them, which is like, it's a noble reason, but it has the opposite effect. All we're doing is exaggerating that feeling for them. So just sit back, be with them, try and be as positive as you can and be like, yeah, feel it, girl, cry it out, leave it behind, leave it here, leave it here. Today's the day that changes. You don't have to take these feelings with you anymore. Just remain whatever you need to be, because today is the day it all changes, and I'm here for you, and you are safe here. That's the most empowering thing that you can say to somebody when they're in a space like that, right? Being like, oh, you're fine, at least you're alive. That's horrible. Being like, oh my God, how terrible for you. Oh my God, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that. That's a horrible response. So let's find our middle ground. Nurture them. Remind them that all those feelings are fine. It's totally okay to feel those feelings. This is a grieving process. Shit ain't easy. You know, I say that to people. I just totally myself with people because they know that they know that I'm being genuine and authentic. They can feel the energy of that, which allows them to be genuine and authentic. And that's so important. And just let them know, like, there's nothing wrong with them. Like, it's okay to be angry. It's okay to be really sad. It's okay to be really mad that your husband wasn't there when you needed him. That's totally fine. You deserve to be cared for. You know, affirmative statements and just allowing them to be whatever they are and feel whatever they need to feel. So I book 3 hours when I'm doing a nipple tattoo. I book 3 hours because if that person needs to have an emotional experience and I have the opportunity to help them move through it, which I know that I do because I have mastered some healing modalities, I'm like, I will just be whatever they need me to be. And there is no rush. There is no rush. I only tattoo like when I'm tattooing nipples, I only spend 20 minutes per side tattooing, right? Because any more than that and you're causing trauma to the skin. So I know that I have a very limited amount of time that I can actually spend working on the body. If that person doesn't need me, they feel great, they've already gone through the emotional work, then I just take some time for myself and maybe do some drawing, draw some nipples or do a little live or whatever. I just enjoy the time for myself if I have the extra time. But if they need that time, I make dang sure that I have it for them because that is where the magic happens. That's the most rewarding part of what we do is if we can hold space for somebody when they need to be held. It's not about physical holding. I did use a picture in here of this person. Like we can hug them and embrace them if we want to, but these days of COVID, like that's kind of, people are scared to have that physical contact, even though we're working on their body. We just have to give them what they need, what they're comfortable with. And we got like, read the room, folks. You know, you got to read the room. The more genuine and authentic you are, the more they're going to feel safe around you. That is guaranteed. If you act fake, people feel that. And they will resist it and they will clam up. And then they may not get to process those feelings. Breathe. Tell me, did you guys just breathe when I started to breathe there? Did you take a breath with me? Did you follow the leadership into a deep breath? That's how to downregulate anything. I put Brandon Powell up here, that name, because he's got a really cool way of leading breath work. I don't know if you can find him on his website. I'm not exactly sure. He is part of the coaching community that I'm in. And I actually just did a breathwork session with him this morning so that I would feel really good about sharing this stuff with you and really feel like I'm coming from a divine place in myself so that I was delivering the message I meant to deliver today to whoever's here to listen to it. Find Brandon Powell. And like I said, breathing is so important because anybody, if they get in that heightened state and they're right up here, they ain't breathing right. There's no way that they're breathing right. So if you can just and lead them into a calming breath, it downregulates them. It brings them back into their body because when you bring the body to the point of that stress response, they're trying to escape it. They want to run away. They don't want to feel it. They're scared to feel it because it's so intense and it's so powerful and it's so scary and overwhelming or whatever it is for them. If they haven't processed it, they're up here with it. You want to breathe it into their body, let them see your body. Bring in the air and release the air. The perfect thing to do to teach somebody, if you want to take a moment and be like, let's just do a breathing exercise right now. I do that a lot with my clients because here's the thing. Here's what I say to my clients. I teach a lot of clients how to breathe. I tell them, we usually live in a state of hyperventilation and we don't get the oxygen into our body the way that we need to. So take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And if you want to do box breathing, inhale for 4 or 5 counts, hold for 4 or 5 counts, exhale for 4 to 5 counts, hold for 4 to 5 counts. So that's like, let me Control Alt delete that. Let me go the right way with this. Okay, box. Right? And that's a really easy way to bring somebody into their body and remind them that they're safe with you. This is a safe place. You are safe here. Please, if this stuff is coming up for you, leave it behind. It has no more room in the life that you're about to lead. I usually ask people, that's usually the point where I'm like, what are you the most stoked about in your future? What have you been waiting to do that you haven't done yet? And I get them talking about what they're looking forward to. Now, I talked about this a little bit earlier. We'll just touch on it again, because you can imagine that if you tell somebody, if you minimize somebody's feelings, this is what they're going to feel like. I just love this photo for this. They're going to be like, fine, I'm all on my own. Nobody understands. Nobody gets it, because it does get pretty lonely. Going through breast cancer gets pretty lonely. Your family doesn't know what to do. They're afraid they're going to lose you. Your friends don't know what to say. Everybody's afraid of saying the wrong thing. So nobody says anything at all. It just gets lonelier and lonelier. And I can tell you that from experience. I didn't even have cancer. I had a preventative mastectomy because I had the beginnings of cancer, and I have the BRCA1 gene. So I decided, I had an intuitive feeling that my breasts were coming off in 3 years, whether it was my choice or not. So I took the matter into my own hands. I made the choice myself. I had a huge mass of scar tissue, and they were sending me in for MRIs every 4 months. Who here has had an MRI? Put a 1 in the thing if you've had an MRI, and then Becky, please send me a message and let me know. Who's had MRIs? Have you guys had an MRI? I see a couple people. Yep, people are awesome. So a couple of you had? 3 people have had MRIs. So that's a couple of you. MRIs suck. Show of hands. I can't see your hands, but you know it. You go into this tube and the thing is like for like 45 minutes and clink, clink, and it's so loud, and they put earplugs in your ears and you're not allowed to move. And it's like, you have to tolerate it. Like, they'll let you, if you're having, like, if you go into a deep anxiety attack, you can like put up your hand or hit something or ring a bell or something, and they will bring you out. But then you got to start it all again because they didn't get the magnetic resonance imaging that they needed. Every step of the way sucks. And people don't get it unless they've been through it. So one more thing, like, if you're feeling down, you have to learn to be okay with it. Then you can hold the space for other people when they're feeling down. Otherwise, you'll get uncomfortable with other people's feelings. If you're uncomfortable with your own feelings, there's no way you can be uncomfortable with other people, or you can be comfortable with other people's feelings, right? You got to get real straight with yourself before you can do this for others. So feeling triggered, that's the opportunity to heal. If you feel triggered by anything anybody says, all that is a feeling coming up that's been repressed and suppressed in your body. If you feel triggered, if somebody says something or does something, you're like, that sucks. Why'd you do that? Why'd you say that? That it doesn't matter what the other person said. You can't control other people. So they don't even matter. They're not even a player in your game. They might be the person who said the thing you needed to hear so that you could heal it, but you can't blame them for feeling the way that you're feeling, because you're feeling that because it's in you. And this is the perfect opportunity for you to be like, ooh, ooh, something just came up for me there, hearing that statement. Oh, where'd that come from? Is that from when I was a kid? Is that from, oh, right, my ex-husband said that to me. And then you have an opportunity to be with like, but it's not true. And you can process those feelings, just sit with that feeling. So if your client says something that triggers you, you can't say anything about it. So you got to embrace your triggers, right? You got to learn to be like, oh, I'm triggered again. What do I get to heal today? Like make it a game for yourself. Ooh, that triggered me. Where's that coming from? And do a little deep dive into like, what's going on for me here? I thought I was over that. So triggers are actually happy events. Never be afraid of them. So back to your space, back to your healing space. Let's see, where can I put this? I don't know if this is moving for you guys or just for me, but I'm moving my little camera thing around so that we can read the thing. So if it's staying in one spot on your screen and you are missing some of this, it's no big deal. I'm covering it all verbally anyway. So your studio space, turning your studio into a sanctuary. One of the things that helps us heal, same with breathing, changes our frequency. Sound changes. Sound is frequency, and it can change the frequency of your body. What's vibes? Frequency. Good vibes, bad vibes, frequency. It's all frequency. We are frequency. If you resonate with something, resonation is frequency. You know, if you get like a bad vibe off of someone, all you're doing is resonating with the thing that they're struggling with, that they're mentally trying to sort through in their body, because our thoughts and our feelings show up as frequency in our body. If somebody has a good vibe, you're like, oh, that person has a good vibe. That doesn't mean they're a good person. It just means they're having a great day, or they just got some good news or excited about. You know, bad vibes doesn't mean they're a bad person. It just means they're struggling with something there. And you energetically recognize their joy or their struggle. Now, if you energetically recognize that, if you're on the same frequency with them, if you're vibing with them, and they're kind of in a low state, they may really need the support that you have to give. And you feeling that vibe in them, maybe your call to action to go over to them and be like, you okay today? Like, is something going on? You want to talk about it? If they say no, you got to respect that. But if you feel somebody's bad vibe, I would just invite you to go. We need more community in our life. We used to have, like, as humans, like 100 years ago, we had way more community than we have now. We're so isolated, especially with COVID. It's so important for us to recognize each other and be there for each other. So if you feel a bad vibe off of someone, go to them. Don't reject them or turn away from them. Go to them. How's it going? You okay? Right? They may really need that. They may really need that. And if you want to say that you can do this work in your studio, you have to embody it in your entire life and be it with everything that you are. So back to music, frequency. So don't put the radio on in your place of work. The radio is just as bad as a television. It's like, buy me, buy me, buy me. It's all greed and marketing ploys. And in art school, I majored in communication design. So I learned that any marketing is all about manipulation, trying to make people feel a certain way so that they will buy a certain thing. So if you have the radio on every time that there's ads, which is a lot, more and more and more each year, then you and your clients, without being aware of it, are going through this constant rise and fall. And certain songs can trigger certain memories. So I like to play music that people haven't really heard before, or that they may have good memories with, right? Because that's another thing that triggers a stress response or triggers the sympathetic nervous system to start activating. So no radio. I hope you guys can all agree to that. You can understand. And a lot of those, a lot of the pop songs, people, like, not to mention, they're like overproduced and have a lot of weird background noise in them that makes us, it subdues us, like it's to numb us out. Partially it is. They've done a lot of tests on this. And if you don't believe me, please research it a little bit more and see like, how does pop music affect your brain waves? That would be a good research point for you. And the ads, but those songs may remind them of certain points in their journey that are painful to them. So my big thing that I'm listening to nonstop right now is Tash Sultana. I just downloaded it, downloaded some of her music. She's just like a one-woman band. She's got like a guitar. She's got one of them things you step on and you make beats, and then she loops her voice to make like background noise, and it's just her. But the way that she puts it together is really beautiful, and it's just up tempo enough that I like get stuff done. I'm like, yeah, I like this music. Ooh, I like this song. Like you can groove to it, but it's pretty like level. Like I would never play classical music because that's emotional music. There's a rise and a fall to it, right? And here's something not a lot of people know about me. I DJ'd in a nightclub in 1997. So very early on in my tattoo career, I moonlighted by DJing in this nightclub. So I actually know a lot about music. I'm a music snob too, because music and art go hand in hand. So Bob Marley, people are usually going to have pretty positive memories with something like Bob Marley. Those are like good days at the beach or with your friends at a barbecue. Fat Freddy's Drop I got into last year when I was stuck in Amsterdam when COVID first started. It's a little bit more, it might be a little bit too up tempo for the workplace, but it is great music to draw to if you're an artist. And classic rock, like good old like Leonard Skinner and Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd, like good old classic rock just seems to be something that like everybody can groove to. Those are like, it's like a real level, like 4-beat, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and everyone can just kind of like chill and groove to it, right? Spa music to me is a little bit too contrived, so it feels a little bit too forced. If I go into a place that has like the sounds of birds or something, I'm like, it brings up tension in me, because I'm just like, oh, I'm supposed to be all like, I feel like I'm being forced into a relaxed state that my head just doesn't align with. I'm like, I'm getting tattooed. Like, this isn't a relaxing experience. So I don't love spa music for that reason. And the reason that I wanted to explain some of this to you guys is just get you really aware of the environment that you're creating, because this is such a huge part of the experience. You walk into a place, and pay attention as you go through the next couple of weeks of your life. When you walk into a place, just really start paying attention to like, yeah, I like this place. And if you like the place, what's playing on the stereo? And if you walk into a place and you're like, I don't like this place, like listen to your body, right? This intuition really tells you what you like and what you don't like. Then ask it why. And if there's radio playing and there's like an ad on, that could be why you're feeling the way that you're feeling, because that stuff is designed to manipulate your feelings. So it has no place in the workplace, in my opinion. I like chill with a beat, like, on the satellite, there's like chill lounge on the satellite. That's like pretty good. It's got enough of a beat that you can kind of like vibe along with it, but too chill just kind of puts you in a state where you feel forced into feeling something that doesn't resonate with what you're actually feeling. Yeah, music is important. Get a good stereo system. Get like, so it sounds good. Like, don't have a tinny thing playing. You know what I mean? Like, you're creating an environment for an experience that's going to change this person's lives. Be very responsible with the way that you create that. This is your chance to shine, though, with who you are as a person, right? Like, play music you like, then you'll do work that you like. Create an environment that you're happy to work in, and people will be happy to get the work that you do. So if you are an artist, please have some art in progress. Like, have like a little thing on your desk where you're like, yeah, I'm trying to do this painting, and like, I'm kind of struggling with it. I'm just learning this new thing, and like, let your personality shine in all that you do. So please, if you draw, please let people see what you're doing, because then they feel like they know you more, and then they'll trust you more. People want to know people, right? And if you show them that side of your personality, they'll trust you more. If you act all like, if everything in your space, like, you go into a doctor's office and all you see is certificates on the wall, you're like, okay, so he took a lot of classes. Great. Like, it doesn't let you know who he is or what he cares about in his life. Certificates are a dime a dozen these days, right? You don't want to walk into a place and see a bunch of cold, like, I don't know, I don't know why people are so proud of certificates. That's just my thinking. This is just my feeling, right? My personal feeling, because you can go online and get a certificate. That doesn't like impress people, but you know what does impress people? When they see your personality shine. So this middle one, showcase your personal style. Don't put things in your space that you think people will like. Put things in your space that you like. Just keep them a little mellow, like don't have anything like super intense going on, like, right? Keep it kind of like mellow and keep it like to the nicer side of things, but let people see you. Let them be with you. All it's going to do is encourage them to show more of themselves in everything that they do too. You're just going to inspire them. You'll hear them say it too. They're like, man, I liked your space so much. I went home and did some decorating. I bought this really cool painting that I liked, right? Like you never know. And also show your interests. If you're a deep sea diver, please put up a picture of deep sea diving. If you're a barrel racer like me, like I ride horses, please put up a picture of you riding a horse or a really cool picture of a horse. That's like a point, a talking point for you guys. It's something that if they're a deep sea diver too, then you got something in common. It'll relax them right away. If you're a deep sea diver or a mountain climber or a snowboarder, whatever it is that you do more of it, live more of it, embody more of it, and show it in your work as well. Because if somebody else is like, oh, I always kind of wanted to get into snowboarding, if that's something that a breast cancer survivor has always had on their heart, but never in their life, and you can be like, oh yeah, it's so cool. It's kind of hard to learn. You fall down a lot, but hey, have you ever been to this place? You should go take a lesson. Like you're inspiring them to live the life they want to live anyway. And isn't that what it's all about? That's what I'm trying to do with you guys right now. Just like, how do you want to live your life? Do it. Don't let anything hold you back anymore. Life is short, you know. My mom would be living, she'd still be living her life, and cancer made it short. We got to like grab hold of the things that make us stoked to be alive. Right? Who are you? Who are you? Don't I'll just warn you. I can't tell you what to do and what not to do, but I would just warn you against being who you think other people want you to be. Those days are over, right? That's behind us. Who are you? Who have you always wanted to be? Why did you get into tattooing? You're a tattoo artist or a tattooist. What got you into this? What made you so stoked to do this for a living? Embody that, be that, right? We won't find our success unless we start really living into it. Don't follow trends or copy other people's styles. If you want to have a great life, right? Share that part of your personality. That's how you inspire. That's how you attract the clients who are aligned with you. That's how they know how to find you. That's your beacon. Don't be afraid to shine. Don't be afraid to be yourself in everything that you do. You know, since I started really becoming who I am in this particular work, because it was traditionally led by PMU tattooists, which I am not. I'm a body tattooist. I specialize in scar tissue, which makes me very, very, very a strong trainer in this, because I'm teaching from a place that understands this to a depth that a lot of people don't. But when I started stepping into that power, when I realized like, man, I do have a lot to offer when it comes to this stuff, I started being hated by other like people that were kind of doing it, but had a different understanding. And I got real butthurt about it for a good couple of years. You know, anybody who knows me knows this about me. I was like really sad, like, but I just do things the way I do things. Like I'm just doing my best out here, right? And I had to decide pretty recently. I was just like, wait a minute, I just got to do what I got to do. And the people who are aligned with it will show up like you guys did today, because I can see that you're all still here. I can see the number. I can see that you guys are all still here. And then I can inspire you to also not care what other people think and just be your best anyway. Show your best. So figure out, who am I really? Why did I get into tattooing? What do I love about tattooing? What do I love about doing breast cancer work or medical tattooing? What do I love about this job? What do I love about covering up self-harm scars, right? Like, what do you love about it? Get really, really, really straight with that. And I will teach you how to apply it to your business in this digital class, Sacred Space. It was a hard one to name, right? But part of your space is yourself. Like we talked about earlier, you are the sacred space. How you go through life is your sacred space. How you deal with your feelings is your sacred space. So figure out what look you kind of like. Do that. Have some fun with it. Don't be like stagnant and like, you know, like don't like, unless that's who you are. You're like, I'm a very serious person, right? Like whatever it is that is you, be that fully. It's radical self-expression. That's what it is. It's a principle. It's a life principle, and it's a great value to live by. Radical self-expression. Whoever you are, be that fully and unapologetically. As long as you are doing your best and you are not causing harm to anybody on purpose, it's free reign. As long as you're always doing your best and you are not purposefully causing harm to anybody, all bets are off. You can do whatever you want to do as long as you're doing your best and you're not hurting nobody, right? So be it, embody it, live into it, because this is how you're going to be happy. This is how you'll wake up every morning looking forward to your day and go to bed every night liking who you are as a person. Your style has to show. What colors do you like? Not what colors are popular, not like who you follow on Instagram and you really like how their Instagram looks. Pick your own colors. Pick your own style. This is how you shine. This is how people find you. If your stuff looks cookie cutter like everybody else's does, you'll get overlooked just like they do. You know, they may look successful, but if the people that they're trying to find to help aren't finding them or resonating with their image, they'll look elsewhere and they may end up in the hands of somebody who isn't as excellent as you are. So let them know who you are, because they'll be like, that's my girl right there. Oh my God, she posted this picture of this flower I really like. It's like my favorite flower and hardly anybody likes this flower, but she does. I'm totally getting tattooed by her, right? You see the importance of this identity thing? And then match. Then once you figure out who you are and who you want to be, and you figure out your style and how it reflects you, then create your brand, your design, your logo, your marketing stuff, your website, because that is how you step into your sovereign power. This is how you become your best and people know that you're being your best. So first it starts with you, it starts with the inner work. Then it starts with here's the things I love. Then you go into, this is how I want my community to see me. And then the people who have been looking for you but didn't find you before these three things happened will find you. Set intentions too. I always set intentions. I just ask that I'm seen by the people I'm meant to work with and that I'm not seen by the people I'm not meant to work with. And then when somebody shows up in my life, if somebody books a consultation with me and we have a heart connection, like I do video consults, which look very much like what we're doing right now, and we have a heart connection, then I just thank the universe for aligning that meeting, because I know that I'm gonna make a positive change in that person if they allow it. That's how you find your tribe. That's how you find the people you're meant to work with, the people that you're meant to work on, like I'm saying, and you're stronger together. So once you kind of start figuring out, this is who I am, this is who I want to be, then I want you to step into your community a little bit more. I want to encourage you to step into your community a little bit more. If you work with, for example, mastectomy is kind of the focus of what I do because of A.R.T. So what I want to do in my community, and I just moved to Texas 3 months ago, so I have to find a new community here. So I have to find a new somebody who does lymphatic drainage, because that's somebody that I'm going to want to refer my clients out to, especially if they have those gnarly kind of scars. They haven't worked on them enough and they haven't fully healed from their surgery enough. So I'm going to want to be like, go see Rosemary. She does amazing work. So I did meet a woman and she's working on me. So I'm receiving the work so that I can tell my clients, this is what she does, because I've received it. And I'm building a good conversation. I'm building a good relationship with Rosemary. And I am completely impressed by her techniques and her value system. And I want to help people find her because I know that she's going to make a positive impact on their life. Counselors, if you decide that you're like, yeah, I could go do some counseling, find a really good counselor. Don't just take just anybody. Find somebody that you align with. See if you can see their personality through their work. See if you resonate with the way that they're presenting themselves. See if they resonate with the way that they're presenting themselves. Put all of these theories into action in your own life. And when you find a therapist that you really like, and you tell them, I do this work, I do work on mastectomy, I do work on breast cancer survivors. If you do that work, are you looking for more clients, or do you know anybody that I could refer to, like people who are still holding on to the trauma of losing a body part, of having an amputation? And like, just build this tribe of people that you can depend on, like sending back and forth. People call it networking, but that's so superficial. It's really not like that. This has to be from the heart. We have to sink a little bit deeper into what we're meant to do as a living, and then try to align and ask the universe to align us with those people, or God, or Jesus, or whoever you pray to, whatever it is for you, the divine connection. Ask that it builds those divine connections, because then when they start showing up and you're like, oh, this is totally meant to be, like, oh my God, how did you ever find me? You're exactly the person I've been looking for. It just brings another level of joy into my life anyways. And then you'll have people to talk to when you're like, man, I had this client and I just couldn't help them. And how do I deal with this? And how do I, when you're struggling with the hard parts of this work, you'll have somebody who understands your struggle that you can go to for support, and they can come to you for support. And that's magic. In my opinion, that's magic. That's magic. And I think it's one of the reasons why we're being separated from community so much these days, because of the strength in it. And like I was saying, how to be your best. So in order for you to be your best, and I'm like, if you're being your best and you're not hurting anybody on purpose, then as all bets are off the table. The tattoo artists that I know, that I look up to, that I am inspired by, draw all the freaking time. So I try to draw a lot. They train, they'll take trainings, they'll go to their friends' trainings and be like, oh, I love the way you do this thing. And they'll like use that as inspiration rather than trying to copy it or steal it. They'll be like, and if they use that person's technique in their artwork, but I'm talking about like body artists that actually create art and then put it on bodies. They'll be like, oh, I use this tip or trick that I learned from so-and-so, and they'll like honor each other in this way. And it's really cool. It's just another form of magic, in my opinion. Draw lots, draw. If you draw for a living, if you do restorative tattoo, draw like a mofo. Just draw all the time. And take as many trainings as you want to, or work with other people. The best way to learn from other people is to go to their studios and do guest spots with them. Honestly, that's the best thing. I'm going to create a space where I'm going to invite other people on my team to come and do guest spots with me, and I'm going to help them shine. So whatever you need to do to connect even more and more to what you do for a living, because you chose this lifestyle. Tattooing isn't a job, it's a lifestyle, right? And you chose this, and you chose it for a reason. Stay connected to that. And then shine on. Radical self-expression, whatever it is that you do it to the best of your ability as often as you can, and just shine. Let this part of you shine so brightly that you become a beacon to the people who need you. All right, and then here's how I support it. So of course, I got to talk about this new thing that I created, because I'm really excited about this. Is what I've been working on and creating. The first one is Sacred Space, like we just outlined. And then I'm doing another digital course. I've got 3 on the roster right now. Tattooing Scars is going to be launching next month. It's almost ready to go. So then it's going to be about implanting pigment in the scar tissue, understanding more about scars, biofeedback, learning to feel it. Needles and machines, of course, we need to have a lot of mastery over this stuff, so we know what choices to make for what scars. And then I'm going to be doing a very special offering for tattoo artists, for body tattoo artists who do scar cover-ups and they want to do scar cover-ups, because I see a lot of people that just plunk, like, I'll just stick a butterfly on that scar. Usually they don't know about body mechanics and sight lines and flow and how to manipulate sight lines. Like, I'm classically educated. We learned this from the Baroque era paintings. So we have to do this on the body, because otherwise you bring attention to the scar itself instead of enhancing the body. And this is a mistake I see a lot of people making. So I'm like, how do I help them? Well, I'll make a digital class, and those who want to learn it will come and learn it. So that's what's going on there. I'm excited about this stuff, though. I'm really excited about this stuff. I love sharing knowledge. I love teaching. It's my favorite thing in the world. I just love it. It makes me so happy. It makes my heart sing. I've been looking forward to today for weeks. I've been so excited. I got asked to do an interview on my work today, and I was like, no, I'm teaching a masterclass. And I was like, not even sad to say no to doing the interview. Like, no, I'm teaching. So I'm so excited about it. I'm giving half price. I decided that everybody does need to learn about this. Everybody who does trauma tattooing needs to learn about trauma tattooing. So I put it at a low price to begin with, even though I put a lot of work into it. I put a lot of work into it. It has a way higher value than $397, but I want everybody who needs to learn it to be able to learn it and for price to not put anybody off. But today I'm doing that for half price because I'm really excited about this class and I think it'll really help a lot of people and it'll make you feel better about who you are as a tattooist and what you have to offer your clients. It'll just help you live it and embody it. And it'll help you figure out your identity. It'll help you figure out your space. It'll help you figure out other offerings that you can do, like with breath work and with sound and just all kinds of cool stuff that I think if you resonate with any of this, you'll love what I put together for this course. There's what you get. Of course, I have to outline this a little bit so that you guys know a little bit about it because I'm so excited. You'll get some PDF downloads. We'll deep dive into all the things that we just talked about, and you'll get a deeper understanding of how to change lives. Like we just touched on some important bases, but if you take this class, you'll be like, oh, I get it. That makes perfect sense. It's so important because I go off the heart system. So helping clients feel healed, empowered, and excited with artistic abilities in our restorative tattooing and technical excellence. I was like, it's all, of course, it's all with heart. So I just get real excited about this stuff. And then the next one I got is the tattooing scars one, like I was talking about. Here's some of our innovations. Me and my business partner made the world's first permanent pigment set for areolas, the world famous Pink Ribbon series. That's my partner Samantha Ray and I. She did most of the work. Her name is on the box. There's a lot of heart that went into this, and we just really wanted to make things better for the people that are getting work done by us. And then I really focused on training. And I realized a lot of people didn't know how to tattoo scar tissue. So I invented and Sam created the world's first scarred practice skins. And then we were also the first to make them to represent every skin tone, which is in our patent, but our patent is pending right now. And then Tatsoul, seeing all of these things that we were doing, Tatsoul, the owner of Tatsoul, came to me and asked me if I would design a signature series of needles specifically for scar tissue. So we did. And they're both two different boxes. So if you do work with scar tissue, they're variety boxes. Each box, there's two different boxes, each with 4 different types of needles in them that will give you everything you need for anything you want to do in scar tissue. If you want to do scar tissue reduction, needling, microneedling, doing big scar cover-ups, medical tattooing, everything you need is in one of these boxes. So if you have 2, you have everything you need. And I designed the box, and it's like you can frame it after you're done with the needles. You can open up the mastectomy mermaid that I put on the box and put it on your wall if you want and be like, this is part of my personality because I help people. And this mastectomy mermaid is pretty dang cute. I'm also setting some new dates for hands-on training. I got 4 new dates set for 2021. I don't know if you guys know, I was just named in Style Magazine's one of the top 50 badass women, which I never thought I would be in a beauty magazine. I think this is hilarious. When they called me, I was like, well, I might be a badass, but I'm not in style. How the heck did you guys learn about me? Where did you get my name from? I actually laughed when I asked the lady. I was like, where did you get my name from? And she goes, well, I was looking at breast cancer stuff because I want to write an article on it. She said, and I was looking at tattoo stuff and your name kept coming up in both. And I looked into you a little bit more. I was like, oh, this girl's a badass. We need her in the magazine. I was like, okay, I have to say yes. So that's what happens when you really start working from the heart. People see you, they see what they're doing and they want to know more. Even beauty magazines. I was always the ugly duckling, and now I don't even have boobs, but I'm in a beauty magazine. I just really think that's funny. I find a lot of joy in the irony of that. So thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being your best. And those of you that are here, I will give you a free strategy call, a free half-hour strategy call to talk to you about where are you at in your career and where do you want to go? And I will see if I can help you figure out a way to get there. I'll figure out like maybe this is what you need to work on. Maybe this is what you need to work on. Have you ever thought of doing this? Why don't you try that? You know, I will help you get there, because one of the things I'm most interested about in the world is helping other tattooers be what their clients need them to be. In that way, I get to help more people. I get to help more clients. I get to help more people like me who went to the wrong person for her nipple tattoos and went into a very deep depression because of the results of that. So the way that I see it is I can help more people like me by helping more people like you. I feel great about that as a mission in life. So book a call. You can go to there's a bunch of links to book a call at ARTSCHOOL.ink. You can just go on there and just book yourself a call. They all link to my honeybook calendar. And I'd love to have a talk with you about what's going to help you be amazing and be your best so that you can help, like I said, other people like me. And here's how to find me online on social media. I got a bunch of, I have my hands in a few different companies because I invented these little nipple bags, which are patented in 65 countries, stick-on nipples. And when I didn't have nipples, I was like, I wish that there was like stick-on nipples, like the tattoos in the kids' cereal boxes that look like realistic nipples, and they didn't exist. So I made them. I made a bunch of different ones. Just, I thought it was hilarious and a really fun way to help people. So I made them. And I made a book to help tattoo artists who do nipple tattooing get those looks so people can try on. So a survivor can come to you and try on the nipple backs. And I do sell them wholesale to tattoo artists. They can try them on. And then if they like it, then I teach you how to make it look like that in this Choose Your Look book, which folds over. I made it small like this so that you can put it in a bag, like bag it and put it on your workstation without contaminating it. And you can flip it over because you got the black and white reference on one side and then the color reference on the other side. You got your line drawing there so you can make a stencil of it. And if that, you can see like where the color goes, you can see what parts are dark and what parts are light. I just thought that was brilliant. I just put my book into, this book is really about inspiration. I called it a workbook, but I'm not exactly sure why. I do have some pages in here where you can put some placement and stuff on, but this book is really all about inspiration and really becoming who you're meant to be as a tattoo artist. So it starts with a lot of history and tattooing through the ages. So you really connect with that calling in you, because I believe that to be a tattoo artist is a sacred calling. It is a sacred and ancient art form. And I believe that we're all meant to embody that in everything that we do. And I have this out. So I had to show you guys. This is my new training manual. I just made a really cool new training manual I'm really excited about. So if you take in-person training with me, you get all this fun stuff. But that's just so that you guys, it takes the guesswork away. So if you do nipple tattooing, you can do amazing nipple tattooing because I put all these things together just to kind of take the guesswork away. So you can just focus on what matters, which is the scar tissue and your client's emotions. Like I even made a flash sheet because I'm an old school tattoo artist, tattooing since the 90s. So I even made like a flash sheet, but with nipples instead of like hearts or skulls or whatever. I got nipples on it. Please embody joy in what you do in your work and in everything that you do in your work life and in your life. Oh my gosh, I've talked so long. I'm so sorry. We'll still do a Q&A, but I didn't realize that I maxed out the time. So we'll just keep going because I don't have to be anywhere. I just wanted to dedicate my whole day to you guys. But whatever you are, see the joy that I have for what I'm sharing with you guys today. I want you to have that kind of joy in your life and with what you're sharing with your clients. I want you to be this stoked about what you're doing and don't hold yourself back. This was a silly idea. I don't care what people think of it. I thought it was a great idea. I thought it was cute as hell. And I thought it would be a really good way to have this in your studio if you're doing nipple tattoos. What better way to talk to people about doing nipple tattoos? People, you might tattoo eyebrows on like a nurse who's like, oh, I work in the oncology unit. You do that? And you're like, yeah, I totally do. Now you've got like a point of conversation. And somebody comes in and they're like, oh, I need to have my nipples tattooed. You can be like, okay, what did yours look like before? And they can say, well, they kind of look like that, but they were more that color, right? It's just like great ways to connect with the people who need to connect with you. And that right there is all I have to say about my little slideshow. Now, I want to talk with you guys. Let's open up the chat box. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to stop the share. Just give me a second to sort this out. I'm still just learning this stuff.